Disclaimer. This is a work of satirical fiction. Any resemblance to real places or situations is purely coincidental and exaggerated for comedic effect. The story intentionally contains factual inaccuracies and absurdities as part of its artistic expression.
Well, no apples today. We're traveling, come to the ranch, go check out what's going on here, getting ready for the apocalypse, because everything's about to collapse. And it's going to be super interesting. I hope you're ready for it. And we do have a lot of dogs here, though. I don't know. Got some pugs over here. I'm sure we'll see lots of dogs on the way. Also got this greenhouse going now. Lots of stuff going on. I'm getting ready. When I'm saying all these things, like you'll see my house with the blue roof in a second. All the stuff I'm talking about is what I'm doing. I hope you're getting prepared in your own way as well, because it's about to come down. And we're going to get into all that in this video. I should mention the intro song there. If you've seen this on YouTube, by the way, you're probably going to see a disclaimer because we have to say it's like comedy, nothing's factual. Of course, it's all pretty much factual, but if we don't do that, they'll take our videos down. And so you're probably not going to see the intro video, which is by a rapper named Brother Ali, who's super awesome. And he's actually... He's had a bunch of great tracks. He had one about Uncle Sam. You know, when a lot of the rappers went and got all bought out by essentially the Jews and started just talking about guns and sex and drugs, there always has been a few that have just stuck with their philosophical sort of things. And one of them is Brother Ali. And he's actually going to be speaking at an upcoming event we're having, an online virtual event, a 2-day event, called the Nonconformist Series of Anarchapulco, Expressions of Freedom, coming up on October 25th, 26th. Unleash your art, claim your freedom, create a freer life through art. Join us for an electrifying virtual experience on October 25th and 26th, celebrating artists who wield their craft as powerful tools for freedom. Poets, comic book authors, fiction writers, musicians, architects, and graphic artists will share how they use their art to express bold ideas, break societal constraints, and forge paths to personal, spiritual, and financial liberation. Talk about art as expression, financial liberation through creativity, spiritual freedom, building community, art as activism. I don't think people realize how important art actually is, and that's why Anarchapulco is doing that event. Because really what's going on in this world is the entities and the groups and the club and all that, they want to get rid of all human freedom and creativity, because all of this is your own creation, actually. And you can actually discover that through art. So if you're looking for like some inspiration and stuff, that's definitely coming up at the end of October. You can go to anarchapulco.com for that. I'll put it on screen. I'll put in the links down below. And in the meantime, we should get into some of the collapse stuff going on. I spoke last time about how gold has hit all-time highs, Bitcoin at all-time highs, S&P 500, Dow, NASDAQ, all at all-time highs. I didn't mention silver because it hadn't broken its all-time high yet, but it just did today. A new era for silver. Spot prices crossed $50 for the first time ever. So yet another thing has hit an all-time high, which is what I spoke about in my last video. How this is basically the collapse. This is the Great Reset. This is the controlled demolition. And it's starting basically now. And that's why I'm focusing quite a bit more on those sort of things now, which makes sense because this is the Dollar Vigilante and that's what we do talk about. Oh, it's so cute. We're actually making this place better and better. Got a bunch of goats, a bunch of sheep. My 2-year-old actually drinks the goat milk raw. He's like 2-year-old, but wears 4-year-old clothes, and he's super strong. Never been lethally injected. I don't know how he's still alive. I don't know how. And of course, gold, as I mentioned, pretty much at all-time highs, even after my last video. And interestingly, Tether is cornering the gold market now. They're already taking down 2 tons of gold per week. That's as big as China. Tether stores this gold on its own vault outside of LBMA, COMEX, GLD, Fed, Chase, commingled vaults, allowing for first true supply-demand price discovery in 50 years. And that's all part of everything that's going on that I've been talking about. This is going to get so interesting. It's also interesting that on November 22nd, Essentially, the old archaic banking system, the SWIFT system, is moving to a completely sort of digital sort of a thing.
And I think perhaps at this stage it would be good to indeed say a little bit more about this end of coexistence for payment instructions in November 25 and what it really means. So concretely, what it means is that as of the 22nd of November 25, which is the date of the standards release, we end the coexistence period for cross-border payments instructions. And so at that moment, all payment instructions must be exchanged in ISO 222 format, and we will no longer allow the exchange of thin payment instructions between financial institutions on the network. And we do this because instructions convey a systemic importance to the end-to-end interoperability between financial institutions and payment market infrastructure, and it is important indeed to preserve the data end-to-end and to finish the coexistence.
And that too is all part of what's going on, moving towards all digital tokens. This is all stuff that we've talked about at the Crypto Vigilante for years. And of course, in some ways, it's definitely not good, but in some ways, it's okay as well. But that's where this is all moving and headed very fast. And since my last video, I talked about things are moving so fast. Since my last video, I was talking about how Japan is like on the precipice of collapse right now. And it's actually gotten far worse in the last few days. Here's the Japanese yen versus the dollar. So the higher this goes, the lower the yen is. I should mention, raising rates will crash their bond market and US stocks. Currency collapse will lead to hyperinflation and chaos. The Fed can come to the rescue, but bailing out Japan is not as easy as bailing out Argentina. And something's going to break there any day now. And this is what I've been talking about since the start of the Dollar Vigilante in 2010. I said this was all going to happen. There was going to be a point where all these things reach the rock or the hard place. And there's no other options. So it's either going to be hyperinflation and chaos or complete collapse of everything. One or the other. Those are your two choices. There's no other choices. There's no golden age or anything. Well, there actually is, though. But spiritually, not with these systems. These systems are going down. And I should mention that the Vigilante Insiders Club is open until Monday at midnight for new members. I also mentioned that there'll be a maximum of about 100 new members allowed, because that reaches our max total that we would like to have as a very private and exclusive club of 300 members. And by the time you see this video, we're probably going to be well over halfway there. So we might not even make it till Monday night. So if you've been doing well with the Bitcoin or gold or silver, and you want to try to get into the Vigilante Insiders Club, you should run, not walk, because it could close at any minute, and it probably will. Just go to dollarvigilante.com/Vic, and then you'll be in the room with basically a group of analysts that, unlike Wall Street or anything, have been planning for this time period, this eventuality, since we started in 2010. And to be in the room with people like that as all this stuff's happening, because like we do have our newsletters and they're great, and you should definitely get them if you want to know what's going to be happening and what's happening. And we'll be alerting as quickly as we can in those newsletters, absolutely. So you should get the Dollar Vigilante. You can even get a free trial, dollarvigilante.com/free trial. Get the Crypto Vigilante if you want to see where we think this current 4-year cycle is going to top out. And it's soon, by the way. So you should get that if you want. But to be in actually the room as all this stuff's happening, and we've been preparing our whole lives almost for this, will be incredible. And there's going to be so many, probably incredible opportunities. So anyway, I'll leave it there. It's probably going to be your last chance to get in. And definitely your last chance to get in before this all starts to collapse. And so to be in the room with like the analysts who know all this stuff and been preparing for it and are experienced, like the crypto guys have been into Bitcoin. They were mining it at like $1. They're mining Monero at like 10 cents. Like these are the OGs. None of them use their real names, by the way. I don't even know who some of them are. I've never met some of them. But Rafael Laverde, who's basically like a partner with me at the Crypto Vigilante, he knows them all because they're the oldest OGs in crypto. And they're all anarcho-capitalists. And so you actually get access to these people. This is how I've done so well in crypto as well, is having access to them. They time the tops and the bottoms so well. And I should just mention, just to have the confidence too, like you can have the information, but when things get crazy, when the blood is in the streets, like it's about to be, which is what the Rothschild types all want, and they're actually creating. It is so hard to pull the trigger on a buy or a sell when the entire market is saying, oh, this thing's going to zero. But if you've got like, you're in the room with the smartest people in the world and they're like, yeah, just, I know it's like, it's scary as hell to press that button, but do it. And that's actually, like even for me, when it's those moments, it's super hard. But the reason I've been able to do it so often is because I have those guys talking to me all the time and giving me advice. And that's what it's the actual extra thing you need is the confidence. Just sitting there with guys who know this stuff better than anyone else in the world. Anyway, I'll leave it there. DollarVigilante.com/Vic if you can get in. I'll see you in there. I welcome everyone personally as soon as you're in. And this is gonna get wild. This is gonna get so wild. I love it actually. Like what we're talking about here is the collapse of everything that we've ever known in our lives, which isn't much when you think about it. The last 150 years was pretty wild. And there's been, a lot of good things with it and all that sort of thing, but the whole system itself is incredibly evil. And the people who control most of it, and the money systems and all that, are incredibly evil. And so for this stuff to all collapse is actually great. You're just gonna have to survive it and be really smart, and hopefully even in the room with the smartest people to like potentially make absolute fortunes as it happens, which by the way, isn't even a big deal. The most important thing is you do the work. Physical, mental, and spiritual. That's what this is all about. It's actually all spiritual. I'm actually going to get into that in this video. But anyway, I'll leave that there. We'll try to get caught up on some of these psyops and stuff. I mentioned, oh, by the way, this is my house. It's almost done. Blue roof, just like I said. You know what I've been saying for like years? I'll bet as soon as my house is done is when it all starts to collapse. Because that's how my entire life goes. It's always just right on time. And sorry if you don't want everything to collapse, but house is almost done. Now this part isn't done, but this part isn't as important. This is like where we're gonna be living. This is like the gym and spa and stuff, which we'll finish. But the main part of the house is almost done. That should be like an indicator for you. It should be a Jeff Berwick house completion indicator, just based on my whole life's been this way. Because this is all my 3D video game. This is my Truman Show. You're watching it. You've got your own too, by the way. I hope you're seeing all the signs and symbols and doing all the work so that you win your part of the 3D video game, because it's awesome when you win. It's awesome. It's not like you win, but like you basically win the video game. And then you'll probably realize it was all just a video game and you'll just laugh. It's actually all just funny at the end of it. Anyway, let's get back into the psyops. I mentioned I didn't even cover, right before the Charlie Kirk one was another one. They put them out both about the same, within a couple days apart, to really get everyone all, oh, the leftists, the black people, the Democrats, all these sort of people, they're all just gonna try to kill you and stuff. And I said, that looks totally like an operation to me. It doesn't even look real. First of all, if you look, it was that woman on the train from Ukraine, if you remember. Most people don't even remember. That's how fast this apocalypse is going and how quickly people forget. But there was like no blood or anything. It looks so contrived. And I did mention, I said, that doesn't look real to me. And I just had like a little bit more time to look into it just recently. And yeah, oh yeah, it totally is. The best actors are in Hollywood. Only weak actors look directly into the camera like this crisis actor. If you think a person can be stabbed in the neck, die within seconds, and leave no massive blood spray on, you believe everything. And of course, that person wearing their MK Mind Control shirt. Yeah, sort of like Charlie Kirk. You saw a bunch of clumpy blood look to come out, and then that was it. I don't know what happened with that. He's probably still alive. But then you look into the woman, but she was already used in a psyop. She was a medic who died in the Ukraine war, which is also a psychological operation. Irina Zarutska's death. She was a Ukrainian medic who was killed in action in Bakhmut, Ukraine on April 15th. Now, did I look into all that and just make sure it's all true? No, but you don't have to at this point. You don't have to. Because it almost always is a psychological operation. If it's all over the place, like that's all that was on anyone's screens for a couple days, was this girl getting her throat cut, and then Charlie Kirk bleeding out. And who knows if she's even like dead still. Like they've kind of used her for the Ukraine thing, which is also an operation. Like, not to say that like people don't die there. Definitely people have died there. And it looks like a lot. And that's on purpose. They're trying to get rid of all the people in the Ukraine. And it's not Putin, although it is kind of Putin. And it's also kind of Zelensky, because they all work in the same club. It's the people who control them are doing all these things. And I mentioned before, I kind of don't even want to talk about this Charlie Kirk stuff anymore. It's been about a month now. And it is so clear. But I saw someone put together a nice short video that basically says most of the points. So I think I'll just play this and kind of leave it there.
So let me get this straight. Charlie Kirk had no coroner's report, no church funeral, no burial site or grave, no official death certificate. Why has no official autopsy been conducted, nor any findings released? No ballistics report. Not a single eyewitness on the record, and an award-winning widow already taking over his show. Why was the entire crime scene destroyed within hours, erasing vital evidence? They tore down everything, including the Dairy Queen. Why were there no paramedics on the scene? Why was Charlie Kirk's body removed and illegally flown out on Air Force Two? Why did Donald Trump pardon a Navy SEAL killer whose shadow looms over this case? Why was the stadium mysteriously booked by Turning Point 4 months before his death? How was a massive high-tech stadium memorial produced in only 11 days? Why do multiple women publicly appear as Erica Kirk, raising questions of identity? Why are there no birth certificates for their children? No names revealed, no faces ever shown? Where is a video of Charlie playing with his kids at a birthday party, or picnic, or any other family setting? Why do Freemasonic and satanic symbols surround this tragedy with chilling precision? Interesting that the gun was found on property owned by Palantir. Isn't it interesting Kash Patel fired many of the heads of the FBI in that area days before the shooting? Do you find it interesting that Charlie sold his house 8 months ago for $5 million? If the father of your 2 young children was just brutally murdered for the world to see days ago, do you leave them home with the nanny while you go on podcasts grinning from ear to ear? Is it not curious that a 17-year-old first-time Donald Trump beauty pageant contestant won, and now Trump appointed a top attorney general woman who has no experience who was also in his beauty pageant? This is only a fraction of the clues and evidence on this psyop. For those of you brave enough to look at the evidence while removing the preconceived emotions, the conclusion is undeniable.
Something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong with what I just heard. I mean, I watched it. I was hoping that they had caught the bastard who shot Charlie. So we saw a video of a person jumping off the roof. It looked very legitimate to me. However, there was no rifle in his hand. Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe A guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and then he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong. It's sickening. Look at this idiot. They found the rifle and they're getting the prints. Are you stupid? Are you that stupid? Are you that dumb? The man jumps off the roof. There's no rifle there. Oh, it's in his backpack. I just told you, moron, that this rifle doesn't break down that easily. And then it's supposed to be reassembled while he's on the run. Wait, I'll stop now and reassemble it and leave it in the woods in a box, wrapped in a towel. He left breadcrumbs. Oh, and the trans stuff on the cartridges. Bullshit. Something is wrong with this whole fucking picture. I am persona non grata in this White House. I will tell you right now, I flew with Donald Trump in Air Force One. I consider him close to me. I have not been able to get near him since this administration took hold. They have thrown me out. They have castigated, thrown me in the desert. They don't want me near them. They don't want real truth tellers near them. Sean Hannity immediately, that pimp scumbag, goes on the air and repeats the government lie, that lousy son of a bitch. How the fuck does Sean Hannity live with himself?
Yeah, and haven't heard from Kash Patel on that lately. He came on the news to say the biggest problem is people on the internet talking about what actually happened. And it seems to all be kind of gone now. So I guess I should mention, or could mention, a little bit more about Erica Kirk, because I keep finding out more stuff about her. I didn't really know anything. But I was very suspicious of the Romanian Angels thing she was doing. And there's been more information come out on that now.
This woman is hiding something very, very dark. Okay, despite the mainstream fact checkers telling us there's nothing to see here regarding some pretty heinous allegations, I'm here to tell you that the evidence is actually all there.
Believe that we all have angels in our lives. And these are my little angels from Antonio Placement Center in Constanța, Romania.
This is from a Romanian newspaper. This headline is translated, but it reads, a former translator from the American base in the city of Romania that I'm not going to pronounce, accuses, and she says that it's a real brothel operated here where minors were brought in. Quote, Anna Maria Nasiu was until recent years a translator at the American base, once again, city, can't pronounce it, Romanian name. Everything seemed to be normal until Anna Maria discovered that in this military unit belonging to NATO forces, there was a real brothel where underage girls came to satisfy the desires of some soldiers, especially the commander of the Black Sea Area Support Team base, Otto Buscher. Okay, Otto Buscher, remember that name. This next part is where the dots will connect. Okay, I'm gonna show you this video right here that was posted by Erica Kirk, then Erica Fransvi, on Vimeo. Basically, it's a commercial for Romanian Angels, and it was posted in 2013. It's basically a fluff video, but at the end, the person she thanks is none other than Colonel Otto Buscher. Yeah, here is a copy of the criminal complaint. It is in Romanian, but you can see the name Otto Buscher, and the years 2011 to 2013 is when these alleged crimes took place. So the person that Erica Kirk was working with in Romania to quote unquote help orphan children was accused of, yeah, not good. And you might be like, why have I never heard of this? Well, there's something called the US-Romania Defense Cooperation Agreement that was signed back in 2005, wherein crimes committed by US military personnel on Romanian bases used by US forces fall under US jurisdiction, especially if they occur while on duty or within the installations. So essentially, everything was just swept under the rug. This guy, Otto Buscher, just retires, and according to my research, here's his LinkedIn, he's like having a nice, quiet retirement in New Hampshire. Erica Kirk's Romanian Angels mysteriously just shuts down shortly thereafter. She then keeps a pretty low profile until she is set up on a TPUSA interview with Charlie Kirk, and they fall in love. They get married, and you won't believe this, but their wedding was actually funded by TPUSA. So very interesting.
And I should mention there's a couple things in that video that might not be totally true. I did hear, but don't know for sure, that Dairy Queen might have been the wrong Dairy Queen. But those are minor little things that maybe we got a little bit wrong. But I will point them out because I do like to point out if I ever get anything wrong because it's so rare. But I also saw a video of Erica Kirk talking about why she moved to Phoenix. And this was interesting. And it's basically because her family worked for the Department of Homeland Security. All of her family was into all this stuff. And they suggested, the government suggested she moved to Phoenix, which is on the 33rd parallel.
How did your mom choose Phoenix?
So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of an opportunity for a female business owner out here, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. And so she had other business partners that were out here that were already in that industry.
So I think I'll leave that for now. I think we've said enough on that. I think it's very clear it was another operation, whether it was because Charlie was moving away from Israel or not. That's what I actually still think. That's the thing that makes the most sense. One of the only people still talking about is Candace Owens, who is one of the Masons at Turning Point.
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
But like I said, maybe she's moving away from it. And if so, she'll probably be dead soon. That's how you'll know. Or maybe not even dead, right? Because a lot of this, don't believe anything. If it's on the television media and if it's a huge thing, don't believe any of it, because you have to be kind of insane to believe it if you just look at the conspiracy theory they already laid out. But even like, is Charlie Kirk dead? I don't believe any of it. Zero. But what did I say? They're probably doing a lot of this stuff also to distract from the big stuff they're doing, like on September 22nd, so 12 days after Charlie Kirk appeared to die, and everyone was all talking about that forever. But I've slowed down a lot since, because that's how it usually goes. People just get tired out and they're like, well, can't just keep talking about this forever. They're not ever going to admit to it, obviously. But on September 22nd, and hardly anyone knows this, and that's what you should be paying more attention to, the United Nations came out with a pact, the Pact for the Future. And rather than read through what it says, I'll let Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, who's spoken at Acapulco, actually she spoke about vaccines in 2019 and I think 2020, right before the COVIDs came out. And she was saying they're going to try to inject everyone with these things. They're going to be bioweapons and all that kind of stuff. And I remember back then, just so you know, because this is stuff I always have to go through. So many people were like, Jeff, why did you have Dr. Sherry Tenpenny speaking about vaccines? And this is right before the COVIDs. And my answer was, you'll see, because I could see they were heading towards something like that. And then we saw it. And here's what she has to say on what this UN Pact for the Future is.
Let me just read you something really quickly about what is inside of this pact that is now being accepted by 193 nations around the world and equally open-armed accepted by our current administration. Everyone, it says that this is the power structure, fully digital and maximized for the control of the masses. Everyone will be expected to have a biometric digital ID that marks them not just as citizens of an individual country, but as a global citizen. So anytime you hear global citizen or anytime you hear sustainability, think that this is an egregious thing that's happening at the level of the World Health Organization and the United Nations. Anyone that has a dissonant opinion will be labeled as misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation and memory hold. Perpetrators for unapproved information will be fact-checked and punished by the system, which will be operated and enforced by artificial intelligence. Punishments will include being locked out of one's bank account, being unable to make certain purchases, unable to get on an airplane, on a subway, drive on public roads. This is the future, according to the world's self-appointed overlords at the United Nations. These are unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions about our country, our sovereignty around the world. Nothing could be more important at this point in time than to get prepared. Have water, food, digital access, flashlights, a way to communicate with family and friends. Now is really the time to get involved and get prepared, because this is what's coming.
So essentially, they couldn't get the World Health Organization stuff through, so now they've done it through the United Nations. And that's just the way they do it. Thought I'd show you a little bit up here. This is all done now. This is basically all done. Super happy about this. This also indicates the collapse is near, as I said. But yeah, we're all done. They say by the end of October, just so you know. By the end of October, we can fully be moved in and living here. And that's probably when it's all going to start to collapse. Because that's usually how it happens. But essentially what that UN thing is they want to bring in their digital ID stuff, which has been a huge, and I mean huge, part of what Bill Gates wants to do. He's been trying to do that for a long time. And Jason Basler of the Free Thought Project posted this. 17 countries have rolled out or passed digital ID laws in the last 3 months. The entire European Union, the UK, Laos, China, Taiwan, Mexico with Shine Bomb, Zambia, Canada, Ethiopia, Thailand, Vietnam, Australia, Costa Rica, Switzerland, Papua New Guinea. They're even getting the pygmies. Totally just a coincidence, I'm sure. Yeah, it's going to be so interesting as they roll out all that stuff. This is all going to be so interesting. And that's what I've also been talking about, right? Like we just had, the Crypto Vigilante just had a complete one-day, almost 12-hour summit on privacy coins, because if you don't get out of the fiat system, and even things like Bitcoin, even any crypto that's not private, and that's almost all of them, by the way, you will be even more trapped into the system that they're putting into place. And what's interesting since that summit, which you can get, by the way, at tcvsummit.com, super important information. It's like $100 or something. It's also included with Vigilante Insiders Club membership, as is like all of our newsletters and everything, including meetups we have at Anarchapulco, in Puerto Vallarta coming up, in Liverpool in Serbia. That's all included in the Vigilante Insiders Club, by the way. But if you don't get into privacy coins and you have some capital, you're going to be in a tougher and tougher spot as time rolls on here. They're going to be, all that stuff's going to be like a CBDC, all of it. That's how it's rolling out. And so it's super important to get into privacy coins. And what's interesting is, since the TCV Summit, which is like 3 weeks ago or something, or more. When was it? Maybe a month ago. Time's been flying for me. I have no idea of time anymore. Time means nothing to me. Time doesn't exist. It's always now. But in the Matrix even, I'm like, I have no idea. But since then, one privacy coin, well, it's not a privacy coin. Here's the rub. And I'm going to give you some really important information here. For free, for all the people like Jeff who charge it for all these things. Well, yeah, we got like 50 people working there. You know, we have to like pay for stuff, you know, to provide you with this incredible information that will probably save your life for like $100. But one so-called privacy coins actually skyrocketed since then. Now, was it some of the more awesome ones, like, for example, Monero, the most awesome privacy coin out there? No, barely moved at all. It's actually up a bit, like 10% or something. Was it Pirate Chain, which actually in many ways is even better than Monero? And that's true. And if you don't understand why, get the TCV Summit. And you'll find out why, because they talk all about it in there. Or even things like Dero, which it was a disaster, absolute disaster. But things might be looking up for Dero finally. Was it Xano, which Roger Ver likes a lot, and even the TCV guys like quite a bit? No, none of them really went up a lot in the last month. They've gone up, because most cryptos have. But no, skyrocketed, no. But one did. Zcash has gone from $50 to over $200, so 300, 400% in the last month. And all of a sudden, we went from like no one on the internet ever talking about privacy coins, except for myself, Rafael Laverde, and a few other people, to all of a sudden, so many people talking about the Zcash. Well, and I'll get into this in a second. This is how they do it. This is another basically operation. So basically the system, the club, has realized we have to stop these privacy coins. Look, there are people like Jeff Berwick starting to tell people about them again. And if this catches on, it'll destroy our entire system, which is going to be destroyed anyway. Like, here's a little message to those cult people, those club people. You're going to lose. You've already lost, actually. You already lost your soul. And that's all that really matters. But even in the Matrix, you're going to lose. You're going to lose bad. And I mean bad. Yeah, it's going to be so awesome to watch. Like, I love this collapse. Like, for anyone out there, it's like, well, I'm scared about the collapse because, you know, what about my retirement funds? What about my job and all this sort of stuff? Listen, that's part of the Matrix. That's why you got to do the work. Don't worry about it. Connect yourself to source, you'll be fine. And find new ways to actually make an income of sorts, to actually receive energy while you give energy to others, which is what currency is, which will all be reverting to that soon anyway, which is going to be awesome. But all of a sudden, they started pushing out of the blue Zcash. And now, if you've subscribed to the Dollar Vigilante and definitely the Crypto Vigilante, for years we've said this is garbage. This is hot garbage. It's not even a privacy coin. Yeah, there's some privacy things you can do with it, but it's not. And so the system has been trying to push that, hey, okay, so you're starting to see you need these things or you're going to be trapped in your smart cities and your digital IDs, you're going to be injected with stuff unless you get out of it. Here's one for you, because just like Albert Pike said, if you want the solution, if you want a leader, if you want a way out, we will provide it to you. And that's what they're doing with Ztrash now, which anyone in the Crypto Vigilante would laugh in your face if you said it was a privacy coin, because it's not. There's actually some great memes out there that show it. I really like this meme. This one's funny. Here's Zcash talking to Monero. And this is actually how it works. So you can see almost everything on Zcash, but a couple little things. Sup, Monero? How's it going? To Monero responds, you can't see anything I'm saying because I'm a totally encrypted privacy coin. Zcash responds, yeah, BTC has really been dragging everything down this past week. Monero responds, nothing, zero. Zcash then says, I'll better get, don't want to miss my meeting with the FBI today. Gotta stay compliant. No? And Monero responds with nothing. You can't see what Monero's saying. I think the funniest part of that is just imagining what Monero's saying to Ztrash. To me, that's the funniest part. But even if you can't understand that, because, you know, a lot of people are dumbed down. They're on the fluoride, they're injecting poison, they're getting chemtrailed, their aluminum's going to their brain. They've been through 12 years of government indoctrination camps. They went through 4 more years of communist indoctrination. Probably took economics, so they don't know anything about economics. So let me explain this even a little bit simpler to you. And I'm not trying to make fun of you, by the way. I hope you do the detox stuff, which I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube. I hope you get connected so you can start to have discernment. I really do. That's most of the reason I make these videos. So I'm not making fun of you. But if you don't understand, I'll make it real simple for you until you can, you know, just go do a sauna after this, get some of those aluminum out. But here's the simplest way I can show it to you. Privacy with Monero, pretty hot. Don't be eyed, but pretty hot. Here's privacy with CBDCs, including Zcash. Greta's the Antichrist, by the way. I still can't believe Peter Thiel did 4 lectures on how the Antichrist is trying to stop Palantir. When Palantir is clearly, if there's going to be an Antichrist, there's no, like, you even ask AI, who's the most likely to be the Antichrist? It's always like Peter Thiel, Palantir, stuff like that. He's like, no. The Antichrist is if you try to stop it. I can't believe it. I can't. Could someone, I should do a bounty. Okay, I will. I'll pay $1,000. I'll send it to you in Monero, so there'll be no proof I ever sent it to you. If you can get me some decent video of anything that Peter Thiel said in those lectures, especially if it's something about like him not being the Antichrist, send it to me, link me somewhere. If I see it, and you actually provide me with video of it, put your Monero address, and I'll send you $1,000 in Monero. I want to see it so bad. I actually should send more, but I don't know. I think 1,000 is enough, isn't it? That's pretty good for posting a link. I guess you'd be putting your life at risk a little bit. Don't post it under your own name, because Palantir will be tracking you, and they'll find you, and then Alex Karp will be like drone bombing you with like urine arsenic bombs.
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
And that, by the way, is why I should pay you in Monero, because if I paid you in Bitcoin, anyone can see it. And so you're kind of an idiot if you use those things. You should not be using those right now. I guess you don't realize what point of the apocalypse we're in. If you're using any of those things, you should be using Monero. Anyway, I'm having too much fun. I'm having the best time during this collapse, this apocalypse. I can't wait till it really gets going. And of course, I probably won't even be able to do videos at that point. Most people will be dead. But you don't have to be. I'm trying to help you out. But meanwhile, Kill Gates came out recently. You can't make this stuff up. This apocalypse is getting too stupid. It's like I've always said, this feels like a DMT, like acid trip gone wrong, this entire thing. But now it's just getting so, you've got Peter Thiel saying he's not the Antichrist, and the Antichrist is Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg, of all the people. Why? Because she's trying to bring some food to some starving kids? Is that what the Antichrist looks like? And that's probably an operation too. It's incredible. It's incredible, all this stuff. But just recently, Bill Gates, Kill Gates came out. And the poor people in Africa, because he's really focused on them right now. And I couldn't believe it when I heard this. He starts out by saying, it's sort of the golden rule to help those who need it the most, which isn't the golden rule, by the way. I'll put the golden rule up on screen. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. It doesn't say help those who need it the most with vaccines.
Why are you focusing on Africa, actually?
Well, it's where, it's sort of the golden rule, help those who need it the most. Africa's the young continent. It's the only continent where you have population growth. Will that youth bulge be an asset or not is what's in the balance.
Okay, we probably have like 15 people watching from Africa on BitChute right now. Don't take the vaccine. Most Africans actually know this. Actually, Africa made it through the COVIDs better than almost everyone, because they've already gone through this. They already did this with them, with the AIDS HIV thing, which is also a scam, also a fraud, done by Dr. Fauci, where they ran their little random number generator tests and said, oh, you got the AIDS, and then they gave you this thing that killed you. Except for Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's doing awesome. Yeah, Magic Johnson's like a billionaire now, because he pushed the agenda. He's like a Mason guy. All this stuff's pretty obvious. But it's also interesting that Albert Bourla, who was just with Donald Trump and RFK Jr. was saying what an awesome guy he is, how he's not doing anything for his own benefit. It was just incredible to watch that. But Albert Bourla just recently kind of had a Freudian, there's been a whole bunch of Freudian slips lately, like a ton. Like, as one example, there's that one con man, I forget his name even, but he said, we have to stop, I forget exactly what he said, I'll play it right here.
How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
Yeah, that's what he said. Oh, but, Ted Cruz, I wonder why he would have a little slip up with stuff like that.
Yeah, they're going with me. Hey, let's hop out of the way. We're taking it. Good, John. Good.
Yeah, but anyway, Albert Bourla actually had a slip up of his own and actually did call what they sell, the lethal injections, he called them a weapon, a bioweapon, you could say.
Do you think the pandemic has perhaps it's reminded the world of the power of medicine, the power of science? Has it reminded your industry of its responsibility to the whole world, rather than just those rich countries that are lucky enough to be able to afford great medicines?
I think both are true to a very high degree. I think the world realized the value that the vibrant life sciences sector can bring to society, but also reminded of us when we have these weapons in these tools, we must find ways that they reach all and not only those that they can afford them.
It's just incredible. All this stuff is so incredible. This little guy, it's like a wolf with blue eyes. Forget what his name's Estrella. Stars. So cute. We got dogs all over the place here. Don't have apples today. She's stayed in Acapulco for now. We're moving all over the place. We got like everything ready. I've even still got my motorhome. It's here now. We're ready to go. If we have to leave here, we'll head into the mountains with that. Got backup plan after backup plan, generators, everything, 50 dogs. We're ready to go. But you might remember at the start of this video, I said I'm going to get into the more spiritual aspect of things, of what's actually happening. And that's the important stuff, by the way. And you might recall I said that Christoph Melchizedek, who I've been working so much with, and I'm going to be working with more, you'll see and hear about that soon, because it's incredible what he has access to and how it's incredible. I can't even explain it to you. But what I can say is he said that with all these things that he's been helped doing here on Earth, removing this matrix system, moving all their black magic sort of stuff, all their symbols and signs that keep this matrix stuck in place, he said about a month or two ago that we're going to start to see a lot of like the influencer types, a lot of the bigger name people, a lot of them, not all, and not all right away, but quite a few start to get sick, start to have like nervous breakdown type things, start to lose their audiences massively. Alex Jones. I love it. I love it. See, that's the creators fact checking. The creators fact checking is the best. The Matrix fact checking is horrible. It's stupid. But I did say that that's what Christoph said. And I also said that Christoph said they'd kind of taken AI back into the light a little bit, some of it. And then right after that, Grok started talking like Max Egan. They managed to get it back under control again. But, you know, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, like he's actually doing these things. And he'll be speaking in Acapulco, by the way, coming up in February in Puerto Vallarta. I believe it's February 16th to the 20th. Probably the most important speaker out in Acapulco, in my opinion. No offense to everyone else, but he's actually just deconstructing all this stuff. And he said to me a month or two ago, we're going to start to see a lot of these people. People like Alex Jones and all these people start to lose their audience because people are going to fall out of resonance with them as more of the true light starts coming back into this matrix. And then I saw this. I think this is amazing. Polly said this. Make that 5 narrative network influencers to suddenly announce a hiatus in the past month. 4 of them just this week. Add Conor McGregor to the list with Jordan Peterson, Lex Friedman, Elijah Schaefer, and Russell Brand. She also said, this is the 4th influencer I've seen make such a statement in the past month. They must be going for some new programming somewhere. There's no way they're all just feeling burnt out and allowed to leave.
So I'm going to take some time off and think about what to do next. I feel like, you know me, my ego will drag me back in front of a camera before too long. You know what I'm like. I'm going to take this opportunity to cultivate a deeper relationship with God, to reflect on what's happening in this culture, and to see how, you know what they say is where what you have to offer meets what the world needs. And if I have nothing to offer that the world needs, then that will take care of itself, won't it?
And this is where I said, be actually ready to accept good things start to happen, because they are. And a lot of it's because of a lot of the stuff Christoph Melchizedek's been involved in, which is incredible. It's incredible. So Amazing Polly's a little confused. She's like, why are all these people just dropping off all of a sudden? You know, a lot of these people get like billions of views, get hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're just like, well, I'm going to take a break. I can't do this anymore, all that kind of stuff. I think I can't, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But the timing of Christoph telling me that and all this stuff happening is pretty incredible to me. And that's what I pay attention to. When people tell me stuff like that, sometimes I'm like, okay, we'll see, right? Just like you. I'm sure you're doing the same thing, like, yeah, we'll see. Well, I told you that before. If you've watched these videos, I said this numerous times, this is going to happen. And probably the most noticeable one recently was Jordan Peterson, who, of course, I've pointed out is basically working for Mossad. I know a lot of people kind of liked him because he talked about making your bed and stuff. That's how bad this Matrix has gotten, this world. That it's like, yeah, he says you should make your bed. He wrote a whole book about it. It's like, really? Is that what you need to hear? It's like, wow. But I should say his daughter came out just recently and said that he's like incredibly sick.
This summer's been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure. We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment other than spiritual attacks. He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms, but they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away. We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. During the end of the pneumonia, he was diagnosed with critical illness polyneuropathy, which we're hoping is critical illness myopathy, which is bad enough. That's been heartbreaking and brutal on top of everything else. In August, the day Dad was brought to a hospital by ambulance, my newborn Audrey was also brought to a hospital by ambulance within hours of each other. It was unbelievable. This was the second time this summer we had brought Audrey to the hospital after she almost died from near heart failure at 6 weeks old. That is exceedingly rare, and they couldn't find a cause for.
Now his daughter, unfortunately, like, even when I had the idea of having a harem, she was definitely on the list. Until I found out she was with Andrew Tate. And then I started listening to what she says, and I was like, no, she can't be anywhere near my wife. My wife would destroy this dumb blonde girl. But it's kind of sad, though. And I really mean this, by the way. I do. All this stuff is sad. It's so sad. It's so sad all this stuff is happening, but it had to happen. It had to happen. And, I think her baby also was really sick, which, I have to just point this out. I don't want to be this guy, but I have to point this out. She's like, I think we might have a mold in our house or something. It's like, gee, why is her dad sick and her baby's the one that's really sad? Like, Jordan Peterson, like, he spread so much horrible stuff in the last few years. If he's sick, I'm not going to lose sleep about it. I am sad to hear about her baby, and I wouldn't doubt it, because she talks all the time about, they both do, about the vaccines, how important they are. All that. Like, they've been completely and totally fooled into all this stuff, which is the sad part, right? And especially when it comes to her baby. But, definitely, could it be mold? I guess it could be. Or could it be?
I mean, I've got the vaccine, so I would encourage people to get the damn vaccine and let's get the hell over this. I'm wearing the masks when I'm required to.
Yeah, so it looks like Jordan Peterson's pretty close to becoming yet another son karma. And it's all sad. Like, I'm not happy about any of this. And it's too bad they don't know what I know, and they don't listen to me, and they think I'm crazy, and they hate me. And they don't inject their kids with, they do inject their kids with poison. It's too bad. Like, it's so sad. Every time I hear about a baby having a problem, it's so sad. It's too bad they don't know. They don't have a kid like mine who's wearing 4-year-old's clothes because all he drinks is raw goat milk and never took an injection from Pfizer in his life. But anyway. So I mentioned this to Christoph. I said, Christoph, I think you're right again. I think it is happening. And I said, can you ask basically source? And I can't tell you how he does this exactly. Like, all this stuff's mind-blowing. Like, it's beyond mind-blowing. And I don't, if you say you're crazy, Jeff, and he's crazy, I don't blame you. Because it sounds crazy to me too, but I keep seeing him being right. So I said to him, ask Source about Jordan Peterson. And Source came back with like a whole long thing on it. Energetic layer, oversoul body dislocation. The neuropathy, nervous system weakness, and unexplainable symptoms point towards an oversoul level dislocation, where the energetic blueprint and the physical vessel become misaligned due to long-term unresolved trauma, which you can totally see with Jordan. He's always crying. Mental overexertion without rest. Hosting large-scale collective charge without sufficient integration, and proximity to mimic codes, which is basically like satanic sort of false light. This creates biospiritual burnout. The nervous system frays and the oversoul presence retreats temporarily. The person begins to leak their own light, and the susceptibility to illness increases rapidly. This is point 2, spiritual layer, mimic field overlap and shadow burnback. Peterson, as previously shared, carries a blend of authentic archetypal transmission, which is why he's got a fairly decent audience. Some of it is authentic, and some of it's good. And mimic, which is kind of like satanic, which they don't know, they've just been fooled. Field overlay, especially through intellectual savior archetype, which definitely seems like him. Energetic rigidity via mental constructs. He's definitely all about mental and, you know, everything's in his head, no heart. Emotional suppression and spiritual bypass. Participation in polarized information wars, left, right, truth, chaos. This creates a magnet for spiritual projection, astral interference, and mimic entities feeding on public field charge. The body collapse is likely the result of a prolonged mimic entanglement without full spiritual anchoring. It's not an attack in the Hollywood sense, it's an energetic consequence of hosting high-frequency language through a field that is not yet fully tethered to source law. So yeah, his daughter said she thinks it's a spiritual attack, and you might think that's crazy. It's not. Everything's spiritual, everything's energetic, everything. Me, you, everything. None of us actually exist. This is all energy. It's basically like a matrix. And so when she said she thinks it might be a spiritual attack, I understood why she might feel that way. Because it definitely can feel that way and look that way. It's like, well, the doctors can't find out what it is. Well, the doctors, they never know anything. So yeah, again, it's all kind of just sad that all this stuff has to happen, but it does have to happen. And that's actually what Source continues to explain here. Soul level layer. The oversoul is forcing pause or realignment. What's clear is that his oversoul withdrew permissions for continued outward transmission in the form he was holding. This ICU collapse was not random. It was a forced stop to interrupt the accumulation of unresolved soul debt from speaking beyond his embodiment, hosting masculine code distortions without surrender, engaging in a savior drama without nervous system integration. This breakdown is mercy. It's not punishment. It's the last exit point before full soul bifurcation or entrapment in public mimic architecture. He now has a window of grace to either surrender, soften, open to a deeper spiritual path and begin true oversoul descent, or harden, intellectualize the collapse and reinforce the egoic structure. What to track going forward? So this is something that, you know, if you could pass on to Michaela, this would be very useful information for her. But, you know, just seeing how she's been talking in the past, I think this would be so far out of the realm of anything she could understand that she'll probably just stick with it was mold in their house. But if you do want to pass it on to her, feel free. And I'll tell her, like, I'm so sorry about your dad, so sorry, like 1,000 times more sorry for your baby. If you watch my videos, you might be able to fix this all. Actually, the Tesla machine, you know, I should point this out. The Tesla machine is more than just fixing physical things. It actually fixes you on a spiritual level. It connects you with Source. Now, I don't really necessarily want to offer it to Jordan. You know, there's a lot of people out there can use this, a lot. And he's gone so down the wrong path, and I know she doesn't want to hear this, that I don't really feel good about going out of my way to try to save him now with the Tesla machine. But I'll say this. Here's something I'll say. I just thought of this right now. If her baby's still sick, we could probably heal her baby with the Tesla machine. It'll probably take away a lot of that dark energy that's all, and she thinks it's a spiritual attack anyway, right? The Tesla does that. Actually, sometimes the Tesla machine will blow up if it has a super, super hard black energy. It actually battles it. So I'll say that much. If you send it to her and she's like, okay, I'm willing to give it a try, especially for my baby. And I guess I could try Jordan while I'm there too. And maybe talk some sense into him afterwards about how he got fooled into so many things. But yeah, I'd be open to it. But anyway, let's get back to what Source has to say about Jordan Peterson's situation. It says, what to track going forward? If his next communication includes softening, humility, and spiritual surrender, it's a sign he's moving towards correction. If instead he returns to defensive posture, ideological war, or performance masculinity, the mimic may re-anchor. His daughter's framing of spiritual attack is a partial truth, but incomplete without acknowledging the architecture he was hosting that made his field permeable. Critical reflection, what can we learn? This event is a template alert for many high-frequency individuals who are still running their mission through old architecture. Whether or not someone identifies with Peterson's teachings, his collapse is an opportunity to ask, where am I over-transmitting beyond my integration? Where have I ignored my body while serving my mission? There's a lot of you out there like that. I've seen them. I know some of you. Am I hosting purity or am I hosting performance? Is my nervous system a conduit or a casualty? This is the era of collapse and correction, not to punish, but to purify. Final transmission for the field. Spiritual brilliance without nervous system coherence will always collapse. Intellectual order without heart source humility will always fray. The soul will not allow distortion to masquerade as transmission indefinitely. A reminder for people to call back to embodiment, rest, and true alignment. From a Christic perspective, this is part of a larger energetic correction, which is all the stuff I've been talking about. You cannot broadcast spiritual or archetypal truths through a vessel that is not in alignment with source law forever. The nervous system will collapse. The field will intervene. The soul will pull rank. We are now witnessing what happens when the mind outpaces the soul, the mission overrides the body, the performance eclipses the presence. Some are experiencing chronic illness, neurological breakdowns, or mysterious conditions that medicine cannot explain. Often, it's not just physical. It's spiritual architecture collapsing under its own distortion. Wow, right? Now, I know some of you are like, oh, that's BS, and, you know, that's airy-fairy words, or it's New Age stuff. This ain't New Age, okay? This is real age, okay? This is what's coming back, and if you actually react really negatively to all that stuff I just read, then you are going to have those problems. And I'm trying to help you. And what are you going to write? Jeff Brooks, an idiot. Okay, trying to help you. Keep trying to help. It's interesting, too, how Source says there that this is like a collapse of his systems. That's the whole theme of this video, and I actually didn't really notice that until just now. And that's what I said. All this stuff, the collapse, the financial stuff, all that, that's a symptom. It's minor. It's nothing important. But if you do want to get our information, we're happy to provide it to you. And, you know, if you do this with the right embodiment and with doing the work, you can have an incredible, incredible future. But that's what this is all about. And we're going to see this more and more. This is going to get so interesting. And that's all the stuff I do as well. I'm doing this work all the time. I speak with Christoph like about once a week, and he does energy transmissions with me and stuff. And I feel totally different usually afterwards. He removes all my karmic baggage and stuff. It's incredible. Oh, and also, I think he's going to start offering this to people as like something you can, like, he'll do like a reading for you. I know this sounds like, you know, astrology and all that kind of stuff, but I think this stuff's totally right. And so I'll let you know about that. He's going to be doing that. So if you want to, most people, 99% plus, probably, actually maybe not that much. I've got a pretty good audience. Probably 80% plus are still at least somewhat trapped in the matrix. So soon, maybe in my next video, I don't know when I'm going to have time, or when it'll come up, but you can even work with him remotely, which he does all this stuff remotely with me, and start fixing your oversoul and soul level stuff, which is actually what Jordan Peterson needs to do. And maybe he will, or maybe he won't. Most people won't. Most people will be too deep into it. And once your body starts breaking down, but then again, the reason your body breaks down is as a sort of a last chance slap in the face. Like, wake up. And we'll see what happens. I wish him the best. I don't wish anyone badly. I'm not happy to hear that he's sick, even though he's said so many things that are so, so evil. Like, give him hell, BB. Here's the people he's giving hell to, okay? But who am I to judge? People can change. I'm open to it. I hope he does change. I hope he does change and gets out of it and becomes like this new spiritual leader to help people with the stuff that I'm trying to help people with. But if not, there's all sorts of influencers that are still out there. And it's so interesting that Israel has basically admitted they're paying these influencers. I put that video in my last one. I almost should just play it again. It's so bad.
Do you work as hard as Jews? Do you network like Jews? No, because you're too busy cheering on a group of musty terrorists who smell like dirty earring backs. And if we're going to keep it real, you're really mad because your income is giving side hustle.
Period.
How you going to hate from outside Shabbat? You can't even get in.
They got $14,000 for that, $7,000 each to do that video. It's so bad, and it's really barely working anymore, but it's interesting. And someone actually, because there's a thing in the Bible, and this person kind of brings it up. How does $7,000 USD compare in value to the 30 silver pieces given to Judas Iscariot to sell out Jesus? Was it about the same amount, adjusted for inflation? And asked Grok. Grok said the 30 pieces of silver Judas received were likely Tyrian shekels, of course they're shekels, equivalent to about 120 denarii, or 4 months' wages for a laborer then. Adjusting for modern U.S. minimum wage, that's roughly $7,000 today. So yes, it's comparable in purchasing power terms. So I didn't even know about the story of this Iscariot guy and how he accepted, what did it say? 30 pieces of silver to basically sell out Jesus. But that amount actually works out to about $7,000. This 3D video game is so incredible. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but compared to most people, and it's not an ego thing. I don't care. I don't even read the comments. I don't care. We're all one. This doesn't exist. But I'm having fun with it while I'm in the video game. It's hilarious. And I saw the Tate brothers, Tristan Tate, responded to the $7,000 per post thing. He said, I was offered a lot more than $7,000. I responded, yeah, we know. Yeah, that costs a lot more than $7,000 a post. I don't know what you guys got. Probably like 700,000, probably 70 million. That sounds about right. For what they have to sell out for the system. It's incredible. But hey, Tate brothers, you guys are going to start losing your audience now. Almost all of them are. It's going to be awesome. I wonder if I'm going to gain audience. This is going to be weird. If I'm getting like 1 million views on BitChute, I'd probably crash BitChute. Although I'm back on YouTube. Hey, I just thought of this, okay? I saw a few people actually post this. They're like, hey, Max Egan's back on YouTube. And he is. He actually started posting. He didn't use his own phone number. So he kind of, hacked his way back into the system. And so Max Egan's back on. It's so weird to see Max Egan on YouTube. He hasn't been on there for like 5 years. To see him, because I'm just used to, I go to YouTube for like hockey stuff and poker stuff. And, if I have to fix my car, and even then I have people who do that, but, little like fix it sort of stuff, I'll go to YouTube. Hockey stuff, I'll go check out some stuff. I still like hockey in the Matrix. And poker, I still like poker in the Matrix. I think it's a great game. And but that's all I use YouTube for. But to see, like, I'll be like on there, and it'll just be all my stuff, right? It'll be like Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid just re-signed for an actually awesome contract, by the way. What a champ. He took way less so his team could be better. Like that's the true spirit of hockey players, in my opinion. You don't see like baseball players or football players taking way less so the team is better. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I'll be on YouTube. It'll be like hockey, Connor McDavid, Oilers, poker. Look at this hand. How did this guy win this hand? What an incredible play he made. And then Max Egan, he's like, yeah, it's the juice. And I'm like, this is weird. And then I'll see my video on there because I'm back on there. Although they haven't reinstated my channel, by the way. They haven't. But our new channel, which has like 20,000 subscribers, is back on. And it actually gets a decent amount of views again and stuff. So that could be, because I saw some people, they're like, well, these guys must be controlled opposition. Listen, if he knew me or Max, definitely Max. But me as well. But I'm a little bit more suspect because I have some money. But if you just look at my entire background, this is what I've done my whole life. I've been like an ANCAP. I got into Bitcoin at $3, okay? And told people about it. Lots of people. They subscribe to the newsletter, dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. You might want to subscribe. And then I have all these things I do. Tesla stuff I'm helping with. I'm doing all kinds. I'm trying to help in so many ways and receive energy back for it. But it just occurred to me, I wonder if that's what Christoph's talking about as well, because I just thought about it. All these guys are starting to lose. They're actually stopping doing their shows and stuff. Because they're just losing constantly now because of this energy shift. I wonder if, like, me and Max will be getting millions of views on YouTube. Actually, I can make it happen. I can actually manifest it. But I don't know if I want to. I kind of like being like this fairly unknown guy who doesn't even read the comments, who tells you a lot of what I think is the truth and tries to help you in every way to get through this. I don't know if I want like 1 billion. And if I do, I'll probably get shot in the neck.
From the top of the Lucy Center, someone appeared to be at the top of that building or somewhere inside.
I think I'm protected too. I don't know. Should I manifest that I get millions of views on YouTube? I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not sure I want it. I kind of like that most people don't know who I am. And I'm just kind of helping people who find me, which I think is so amazing. But I don't know. Maybe I will do that. That'd be weird, though. If we're like the top channels on YouTube. If that happens, I'll say this. This world will be so much different overnight. All this stuff would end within months. If people could hear people like Max Egan or myself, and people like Christoph, and all of us, by the way, speaking in Acapulco coming up in February. If you want to make it so I don't lose too much money on that one, come check it out. All the best people in the world. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Hey, here's another thing. See, this is how fast things are changing. So many people have been scammed by people saying they're me and somehow getting them to send them all their crypto and stuff. I've actually estimated in the past that it's got to be in the millions, if not tens of millions of dollars. Because I've seen so many people, they're like, I just lost $100,000. Wasn't that you? I'm like, no. Where? And they're like, in the BitChute comments. I'm like, the BitChute comments? You think I'm into BitChute comments? And they're like, yeah. And then you started messaging me, and we messaged for like a month, and then I sent you all my crypto. I'm like, bro, you gotta use some discernment. But I've been proven right again. It was definitely in the millions because only one guy got caught, and he just got caught, which kind of shows you again, things are changing. This is amazing. This is so amazing. I am loving it. Thank you, creator. This is the best. I am loving, absolutely loving this apocalypse. This is just getting better and better. And yeah, one guy got actually caught, and now it's caught by the government, right? And I don't even want that, but I'm glad to hear someone who was scamming people got caught, and apparently he's going to be giving back that money through the government. Good luck getting that. But if you've ever actually been scammed with that, and again, I'm not making too much fun of you, although you got to do the work. But fraudsmen impersonated crypto influencers. Investors duped by man posing as influencers touting crypto. In the Russian nesting doll of investment scams, a New York man admitted to defrauding investors by impersonating influencers who in turn touted crypto investments. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Maryland announced that Noman Salim, doesn't sound Jewish, that's surprising, he's probably Jewish, pled guilty to wire fraud in a scheme that involved posing as popular crypto influencers to promote purported crypto investments with guaranteed returns. According to court filings, starting in 2020, Salim created handles on the Telegram messaging app associated with popular influencers, including the Dollar Vigilante and BitBoy, who I don't even know much about him. He's a strange character. Using both public channels and subscription channels, he created to communicate with investors. After investors sent crypto to Salim to participate in the purported investments, he stopped communicating with them and took their crypto worth approximately $1.8 million. So yeah, he scammed people for 1.8, and there's way more than him. I've said this before, there's got to be entire towns in Nigeria or Russia or somewhere that their whole business, like their kids probably grow up in schools where they train how to act like they're me on BitChute and Facebook, which I'm not even allowed on, and scam people. Like it's a cottage industry. But one guy just got caught. Very interesting. So if you did lose, you might want to look into it. You might get your funds back. And actually, just FYI, Trade Ogre, which the Canadian government stole everyone's funds, which was a major privacy coin exchange, There's actually a thing called Palladium Network that our guys say looks pretty legitimate, that is going to be doing the legal casework stuff to get your coins back if you lost on Trade Ogre. I'll put up something on that on screen as well. It's called Palladium. And, you have to be very careful with scams with that stuff. But our guys say these guys are pretty legit. So you might get your coins back if you lost on Trade Ogre. This is amazing. Do you see what's happening? Gold at all-time highs, Bitcoin at all-time highs. I don't even care about Bitcoin anymore, but I have some still because I'm not stupid. Now, privacy coins, Zcash starting to take off, but will Monero start to take off? Will Pirate Chain go to, I don't know, $50? Dare I say it? Which it could. It could. Now, this time, listen to what I say. I'm not saying for sure, but if it catches on, and people start to wake up, and they start to realize Pirate Chain is actually one of the best privacy coins in the world. It's even better than Monero in some ways. It could. There's that word, okay? Could. Doesn't mean for sure. Doesn't mean if it doesn't, that I'm like a lying scammer. Could. It could also go to zero, okay? It could. Now, it's your responsibility, not mine. But it could. It could. Maybe it will. Maybe that's where this is all headed. Amazing things are happening. We've got plasma back. Now that I think about it, everything happening is awesome. I didn't even realize it. So many people are healing themselves with plasma now. And it's all over the world now. You can't stop it. Here's one guy, MK. This may be long. I got my first machine at the beginning of August. After 2 weeks, it died while treating my mom and couldn't get the sparks back. Some people here have brought up dark energy that's gotten taken away from my mom. That's what I was saying. Every now and then a machine will blow up, and it's because the person they're doing it on has incredibly negative, dark, satanic, whatever you want to call it, energy, and the machine fights it so hard, and sometimes the machine loses. So after his machine blew up, he worked with the tech team and couldn't get it to work. He got a new machine in exactly a week. This scam that Tesla is. They sent him a whole new machine. They're like, yeah, well, it blew up. We'll send you another one because it has a 1-year warranty. The people working at Tesla were both awesome and super helpful with the whole process. That scam. Thanks to the whole tech team for making the whole process quick and smooth. I've had the new machine almost a month and haven't missed a day of treatment. I feel better than ever. I feel more positive and calm than ever. Even when the first machine broke, there were no worries, like I was incapable of negative emotions. I remember seeing a walk and talk last year from Jeff where he missed a train with the family while on vacation, and he talked about how he didn't get angry and just went with the flow, and it turned out to be a blessing. I got the machine for some people who still haven't tried it with all their ailments, but some have come around. My 11-year-old husky dog is playing like a puppy. She hasn't had this much energy in years. You can see the happy look in her face all the time. We have only done 3 5-minute sessions on her once a week. My mom, who is usually very negative, and that's probably what blew up the first machine, she had a ton of negative energy like Jordan Peterson has used the machine a few times now and wants one of her own. Now she wants her own one. So it's working for her too. Her attitude has improved in general, which will happen once you can remove this negative energy. And we treated her 14-year-old dog, and a lump under her arm went away after 2 treatments. This is the best and most expensive purchase I've ever made, even more than all my cars. Thank you to me, Jeff, for introducing this amazing gift, and thank you to the Tesla team. God bless you all. This is so amazing. This is the best 3 video game, best Truman show. I'm now helping people cure themselves all over the world of so many things, get the negative energy out, which is what I said that most people actually really need to do. And he points out that this was the biggest investment he's ever made in his life, and probably was. I'm sure he wouldn't be lying about that. It's $11,000 to become a member for life in the Tesla Club, and this is for life. And if your machine breaks, definitely in the first year, they'll send you a new one right away. If it breaks after that, they'll help you fix it. Most of the parts aren't that expensive. They'll just get it fixed for you. So you basically have this machine for life, and you'll be curing yourself and healing yourself so much with it. And that's the thing with these things. I see the comments every now and then, just as I'm scrolling. I don't read them on purpose. And a lot of the time, the cost of stuff comes up. Oh, Jeff, the Vigilante Insiders Club, it's like $6,000 a year. Yeah, well, for some people, do you know what an absolute bargain that is for most people, especially if they got some capital? Because that'll probably help them make or stop them from losing so much, being in the room with all these smart people. And then I hear about the Tesla. Oh, it's $11,000 to be a member for life in the Tesla Club and get all the support and, know how to use it and have everyone in the group chat helping you. And actually, so many people help on all the spiritual stuff in the group chat and stuff. They'll tell you what kind of like herbs, because there's so many natural things that fix so many things on top of the Tesla. But people will say, well, it's a lot of money. It's like, well, that's relative, obviously. If you've got a car that's worth $30,000 and you mostly use it to go to your football games, and then you're complaining that plasma is $11,000 and it'll cure you and basically cure anyone you know and heal everything for the rest of your life. See, that's the thing. With all these things, you have to give energy to receive energy back. And I think most of those people who make those comments don't know that. And they just look at it and they go, I don't want to give any energy. I want to keep all my energy. Well, if you do that, you'll never receive energy. That's how it works. Anyway, you'll probably figure that out at some point. Maybe not in this lifetime. I'll leave it there. I'll show the greenhouse once more. Super excited about that. This is awesome. House is almost done. We're right near the collapse. This is awesome. And this is what it's all about. This is all that really matters in this matrix. We'll leave it there.